Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Iron Lung. And this movie came out in 2026, directed by Markiplier, stars him, produced by him, edited by him, and it's based off of the video game of the same name. And have I played the video game before? No. Am I familiar with it? Yes. I've seen Markiplier's playthrough of it once before, and I'm kind of familiar what the concept of this movie is and what it's kind of going for, and there are aspects to appreciate about this movie, and I do appreciate that this movie was completely self-funded. From what I know, it wasn't promoted at all outside of Markiplier's channel. This movie had like a $3 million budget, and it's doing really well. It's grossed to over 40 million at this point. And I am glad that people are enjoying it. And, there are some things about it that's kind of fun. Like, I do appreciate that it's a bottle movie just taking place in this submarine, this iron lung, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to go by. And there were some things that I did like about it, but unfortunately, I can't really talk about those things because they're pretty much all towards the end of the film, and it's kind of spoilery somewhat. And the amount of practical blood was impressive, and I'm not sure if this is the most blood that's in a movie or not. I'll have to fact check myself on that, but it might be. As of recording this, this movie does hold the record for the most amount of physical blood, like fake blood, that was used in a movie, like 80,000 gallons or so. That's pretty crazy. And you can definitely see that there is some passion towards making this movie, and you can tell that people are trying to make a good movie. And this movie is pretty much just all set in this submarine. It's mostly just Markiplier in here, and unfortunately, I didn't really connect with this movie all too well. I wasn't scared by anything. There were some jump scares that I didn't really care for. They weren't spammed throughout the film like every 2 seconds, but still, I wasn't scared by anything. I didn't really buy any of the performances, unfortunately. Like Markiplier in this movie, like all I could see was him. I couldn't see a character, unfortunately. And I have no idea why this movie's over 2 hours. So, like, I think the perfect runtime for this movie would have been 90 minutes because I just feel as though what this movie was doing could have been communicated much better in a 90-minute film. Instead, it's 2 hours. And I am happy to say that this movie was uninterrupted by any studio interference. It was an artist who gave everything that they could to a project and just put it out there for the world and left it open for criticism. And I do respect that about it, but unfortunately, I wasn't connecting with much of anything. I didn't like the music. I just found it to be very distracting and never once complimented any scene that it was in. And I would have preferred no music throughout the whole film. I think that would have helped it a lot. And the way this movie is shot, like, you can tell that an attempt is being made to do something kind of interesting at times, but unfortunately, I just couldn't find any good motivation. Like, okay, we're seeing these types of shots, oh, he's getting really tired because he's really low on oxygen. We have that kind of shot in there, but unfortunately, it just didn't really communicate all that well to me. Not because I had no idea what was going on, but also the performance wasn't really selling it too well. And there isn't really a whole lot of action in this movie, but when we do get to that, I do feel as though that's the worst part of the movie because when that was going on, I genuinely could not see or get a clear understanding of what I was supposed to be seeing. Like, this movie's biggest weakness is just the action in terms of how it's filmed. Like, I couldn't really make out what was going on. It was like, what's the focus here? It's very dark, and I get that it's supposed to be dark. It makes sense that it's dark, but unfortunately, in terms of what we were supposed to be focusing on, maybe I just blinked and I missed it, but unfortunately, I just had a very poor understanding of what was supposed to be happening. And on top of that, you have a lot of dialogue going over through this like intercom or whatever it's called. At least half of it I couldn't understand what characters were saying. I needed subtitles, and I do feel as though this movie would benefit highly if you watched it with subtitles, because it would probably fill in some of the gaps as to like why I was confused at times. But at the same time, I didn't really care what was going on story wise. It was like, okay, this is a thing that's happening, and I can kind of figure out what's going on, but at the same time, I didn't care about the characters. I never once cared that our main character was in danger. I didn't connect with them, and I just felt nothing throughout this entire film. I was getting kind of bored at times, not only because there was very little to latch onto, both story wise and character wise, but also they didn't really do much with the concept, unfortunately. I just feel as though the idea was stretched thin, and by the time we get to the third act and some interesting things happen, it's just almost too little too late, and I just wish that there was more of that throughout the film. I should also mention that I did watch this movie in a theater, and I was surprised that I was not just the only person in the theater. There were like 10 other people there, and it was like a small theater, and I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting anyone to show up, and some people, unfortunately, were kind of bored and just playing on their phones. I'm not even kidding. There was a person in the front row who was like playing Fortnite or something on his phone, and that was kind of funny on one hand, but also very disrespectful. I actually don't even know who this movie is for. Maybe if you're a fan of Markiplier and you're also a fan of this game, you might like it. Depends on what you're looking for. As someone who wasn't really attached to the game in any way or played it at all, not really sure what I was supposed to get out of this. But from the Let's Plays, I was able to pick up on a few things, like it had some great sound design that I really enjoyed, and the gameplay was fine. It was very minimalist, and there are things to appreciate about the game, and there's some lore that you can explore about the game, and it leaves stuff open for interpretation. And to some extent, this movie kind of does, but also tries to answer some questions as to what was left open. But in doing so, it kind of just makes things a lot more dumb and confusing and frustrating as to why it's done in the way that it is. It just made it really difficult to connect with anything. And perhaps if the writing was able to carry this movie through, like it had really great dialogue, maybe that could have helped it. But unfortunately, the dialogue was nothing special. It was exactly what I was expecting, and I pretty much forgot about most of it. And the film was also quite repetitive. Just have our main character Simon just say, oh, what's the point of this? I want to get out. Get me out of here. And just being frustrated for half of it, at least. And he's also exploring this blood ocean, and that's the whole movie. And that's about all I have to say about Iron Lung. It was not great, but I do feel as though I did appreciate it a bit more had I not watched In Space with Markiplier. I tried watching that, and I got about 5 minutes in and decided this is not for me, and just shut it off there. And I feel like that was a good idea because it did help me appreciate some things about this. Like, I did enjoy that this movie wasn't trying to be funny and everything, because when this movie tries to be humorous, it didn't work for me, unfortunately. If it was even trying to be that, because there are moments in this film where I was struggling to figure out whether or not it was supposed to be funny at times. But I will say that in terms of how things are presented, I enjoyed it a bit more than In Space with Markiplier. I can say that much about it. So hopefully what I said will be improved upon, and we'll get to something much better in the future. But this one I just didn't connect with, unfortunately. So if you want to check it out and it sounds interesting to you, and you like the game and you want to see a interpretation of it, then I guess you can watch it. And also, if you're a fan of Markiplier, but if that's not something you're interested in, then this movie is not for you. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Iron Lung, a 2 out of 10. Closer to a 3 than a 1. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Iron Lung, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for How to Train Your Dragon, the 2025 live-action remake. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.